Thank you all very much for coming. I am honored to be considered in this company, if not to say a little intimidated. And as one of the shortest on the list in terms of achievements and years, I would like to make my comments short as well. I'm not pretending to have any knowledge that some of my other colleagues have in this room. Innovation in higher education in Africa, I'd like to begin with two anecdotes, my encounters with education in Africa. The first takes us to a typical bachelor's room by the beach in a neighborhood in Dakar, where two gentlemen are reviewing for their exams at the University Cheikh Anta Diop. And in between, quizzing each other to see how well they have memorized word for word and can repeat the lectures that they wrote down in notes, because that's what's going to be on the exam. They have a discussion, and all of a sudden the discussion switches from Wolof to French, and they call my attention to this, and they say, you see, we have started to discuss something abstract at an advanced level, and so we needed to ascend to the French language. Their words, not mine. Fast forward a couple weeks later, I am in Bamako doing my master's research, trying to answer the question, if I was literate in Bamanan, which is, according to the CIA World Factbook, the most commonly spoken language in Mali, but I was not literate in French, the minority language that controls all structures of formal power, what would I be able to do? And in attempting to answer this question, I am at the home of Mr. Dramani Traoré, who is the first modern author in Bamanakan. And he tells me about the Sambol, about the days of school under colonialism, and he says they taught us that our languages were already dead, relegated to the dustbin of history, and that it was just a matter of time before we would all evolve into the use of European languages. Thankfully, thank God, those days are over. The days of being caught speaking your own language in the school, but so much of those structures and those attitudes continue to exist. And among the many things that institutions of higher education in Africa and elsewhere in the still newly decolonized world do is create boundaries, create borders, create closures and alienation. And with all the things that they teach explicitly, implicitly, they are teaching self-loathing. The inability to approach your own family, your own elders, your own peers, with the questions that you have from school. The knowledge that the things that you are told in school is one form of wisdom, and the wisdom of the most respected people in your community is a different form of wisdom, and you can't come to these people with that wisdom, and you can't come to those people with this wisdom. So I did a lot of hanging out in my time, and I met with a lot of people, and I have to say, I met other people who were not educated in either primary or higher institutions of official education, of European language education. And they seemed to have a much better idea of who they were and where they were, and what the implications of globalization were, and what they were going to do about it. And they had a whole worldview and cosmology that would help them justify it, and motivate them and inspire them as they face the challenges that we all face every day. So when we talk about development and knowledge production, I think oftentimes we forget that Africa has had a part in this emerging phenomenon of globalization from the very beginning, that Africans have been actors, have been agents, have faced the other actors and agents, have been involved in the trade of commodities and ideas, and they've had a part in that change. I think that too often we believe the lie that was set up by colonialism, the lie that you are taught or the lie that Dramani Traore was taught, that local knowledge, that his culture was tradition, some kind of stoic, staid, frozen tradition that does not change, that is not capable of responding to the modern world, when that's not true. It just constitutes a body of responses that were there from the beginning because Africans were involved in these processes of historic change from the beginning. Okay. Okay. So, I think the most important work that needs to be done is being on the ground, listening to people and understanding them. This idea, you know, that even the constitutions of post-colonial, post-independent states have not been translated into the languages that the majority of people speak is a metaphor for an entire endeavor of cultural translation that needs doing. So I'm happy to say that I think that, you know, a generational change has taken place and people are attempting to make the sort of immersions, the sort of border crossings, as difficult as they are, out of which perhaps new ideas will come. Now, I don't think that, you know, one group of people going on the ground and sitting with people and learning how they think and seeing how they think is going to solve all the questions that have been brought up today. But, you know, I, for example, am one person who discovered a literature written in an African language, and I'm writing a dissertation about pursuing it. I mean, I sat with them until I learned to decipher the script, and now I'm reading this poetry and trying to do everything I can to contextualize it and present to us, here in Western academia, a world that was lost to us. And it's kind of the opposite flow of everything that we've been talking about, right? To see what we can learn. I think that I'm not the only one with that mindset. So, you know, local knowledge production is not secondary. It doesn't play second fiddle. It doesn't go underneath all of these, you know, just because we set the terms and we set the terminology, we should not think of our methodologies as superior and our taxonomies as superior. Thank you.